Standing up in McKinney, this is According to Callus, episode 598, coming to you on the 7th of March, 2024, the year of our Lord, 2024. And I guess it was a special day yesterday. Look, I find it a challenge to celebrate independence once had, but no longer had. So that being said, I'm not even sure how I can realistically celebrate July the 4th anymore at this point. But nevertheless, yes, Texas independence has come and went. And with the election day and all the other stuff that I've been involved in, I completely missed it. So not good for me. In any case, before I get on with the show, let me remind you, please like, share, and subscribe to this program. Every little bit helps. Everything that you do to get this out there helps me grow the show. It expands our footprint, gives us a better and more effective platform, and gives us an opportunity to continue to grow independent media. And if there's one thing that I will always be, it's independent. All right. So today is going to be election day, or I should say post-election day, episode number 2. Reason being is I'm really blessed. I know a lot of people that are involved and have done a lot. And some people I call friends. Some people I would just say are good acquaintances. And other people I just had an opportunity to meet in passing. So I want to give some additional shouts out today. And I want to talk about a few more races and how they played out. And of course, everybody's got opinions and everybody has got their, take on it. And I'm going to give you mine. But the major thing I want to communicate is we're all supposed to be on the same team. And even though our preferred player didn't get the starting position, if you will, we're still going to cheer for our team. And I know it's a bitter pill to swallow in many respects for some folks, but it's the way it is. We have the tryouts. If you didn't win the tryouts, you don't get to start. It's just kind of the way it goes. And then I have a couple of interesting things I'm going to discuss at the end, just because I'm in a mood to have a little fun. In any case, here we go on with the program. All right. So one of the people that I am blessed to have met in the last couple of years decided to throw her hat in the ring, her and her husband, to run for Smith County Commissioner. Christina Drewry took on a long-term incumbent, had some help with Grassroots We the People, or what is it? Grassroots We the People America. In any case, they pulled off a significant upset out there. And congratulations to Christina and Chris Drewry out in Smith County, the new county commissioner. And you need to start calling her and tell her she needs to run for another term. Sorry, I had to. But again, congratulations. Look, we know people all over the place. And I know I probably mentioned it yesterday, but I'm going to say it one more time. Congratulations to Shelley Luther finally taking out that rhino. And yes, maybe it's not fair to say. And Kyle Sims, hat tip to you, buddy. You got the big win. And that's up in Grayson County. And not only that, Grayson County improved their county judge. I think they got the DA they were looking to improve with, as well as a county commissioner up there. So Grayson County, way to lead the way. Collin County, we have a great commissioner's court. We really do. We can improve some of our state reps, yes, but guess what? They won the spot on the team, so we go forward. All right, so this is where we're going to pivot here. Before I do that, let me also shout out Tom Glass and Kyle Biederman. I was rooting for you guys. I'm sorry you couldn't pull it off. I'm hoping you guys make another run at it in the future. I've had an opportunity to meet both guys. I think very highly of both of them. We do need more Texas First candidates. We do need people that recognize and value what Texas brings to the table. Now, look, different people have different ideas of what Texas first means, but in my eyes, and when I say it, I mean somebody that puts Texas, the state of Texas, as their first concern over foreign countries and, quite frankly, over the other states. You are a Texas state rep or a Texas, elected official. Texas needs to be your first concern. That's what in my mind a Texas first candidate is. I know there's different ways of looking at it, and I know that my friends over at T&M have their Texas first pledge. It's slightly different, but honestly, it's basically the same thing. So, again, let's pivot out of that. Okay, so we took a couple of tough losses here in Collin County, and both men that ran and lost, I consider friends. I know both fairly well. It was hard for them especially, but for me, being on the sidelines, trying to help both of them, and my little capacity that I had. Daren Mice, he ran a good campaign, came up short, outspent dramatically, but Daren's already done the right thing. He's more or less congratulated the victor, even though I'm sure there's still a tough time there. But he said, "Hey, we got to go on. We're going to rally around the Republican nominee, and that's what we do." So, Daren, thank you, and especially Abraham George. I mean, he took it. 3 percentage points shy of knocking off a long-term incumbent who, hopefully she took note. Hopefully she's going to pay attention and do a little bit better job. I'm sure she dramatically outspent Abraham as well. But he ran an outstanding race, and I'm very glad that Abraham George and Daren Mice are my friends. I appreciate what they did, and even in the loss, they stood tall for Texas. They stood tall for Collin County. They did the right thing, and that's the big thing. If you have somebody that's representing you and you're not happy with them, you're going to have to do something about it. And these guys stood in the gap. They put their name on the ballot. They ran hard. Both came up short. But that doesn't mean they failed. That doesn't mean they aren't, in my opinion, the better candidate. It just means that we got to do a better sales job next time. All right. Also, and I may have covered this yesterday, but I feel like it needs to be restated. My buddy Chad Green ran for State Board of Education. He came up short, pulled down 20% plus of the vote overall. Massively outspent by the incumbent, significantly outspent by the other two candidates. I think it'd be fair to say by far he spent the least on that candidate spending spree there. But he came in third place. He came in within 6 percentage points of the person that got second place, who significantly outspent him. I'm very proud of my friend. I'm very glad to call him my friend. I wish things could have worked out a little bit differently for him. I know details that I probably need to just keep to myself. Leave it at that. But he's not going away. He's going to run for re-election in the McKinney School Board, and I'm going to be right there with him. We have to do what we can to improve the McKinney ISD. We have to do what we can to stand strong for my city in the city council. We have a couple of decent guys currently on the city council. I'm hoping we get a couple more decent guys. I'm not expecting a radical change. I don't even necessarily desire a radical change. Maybe a radical change of attitude in the way people are treated, but as far as the way things generally go, I'm not terribly upset about it. The attitude stinks, and then the ISD is another story. I'm hoping to encourage some of the folks from over at Frisco ISD to come over and do some training on how to treat your people in the McKinney ISD. Not sure what's going to happen there. Okay, and then again, I want to bring this up one more time because I don't know that I gave it adequate attention. And that we're going to touch on HD 61 here just a sec. Oh, okay. So HD 61. So I guess it should be stated that Both Chuck and Carissa, they played it straight. They didn't go after each other. They did probably the tamest campaign I ever saw as far as going after each other. They both hit hard on Frederick. I would say most of the tough stuff was done by Paul, but it was amazing to me. I didn't see that coming. Not in the slightest. I said from the onset, I believe that it was Frederick's race to lose. And I, at least was okay with that. But, what's done is done. My wife and I have talked about this a good number of times, and, she's got a point, right? The 61, or I'm sorry, yeah, HG61 has spoken. Hard to press her back on that one. But, one of the benefits of being married to a strong-willed woman is it tests you, makes you do a good job, and I thank her for that, and that's one of the reasons why I love her. I don't know why I went down that tangent, but it's a thing, right? If you've got a good candidate, you also look at their family. Was their family with them? Was their family doing stuff? And Frederick's did. I think I saw Chuck's family with him, and I know I saw Carissa's husband with her all the time. So it's a family deal, any election. So again, we don't have a resolution yet on HD 61. Congratulations to Matt, congratulations to Candy, and congratulations to Jeff. You guys won. I know a lot of us are not entirely enthusiastic about all of that, but a win is a win. You made the team. We gotta cheer for the team. So that's it. We'll wait on 61. We'll wait on what happens with our chairman for the county party. 217 votes. That's all that separated us from the runoff there. I mean, I've been pretty straight about who I thought was the best candidate. We're going to hopefully get this sorted out on Friday with a neutral person to play caretaker. I spent a lot of time on the phone yesterday, and I guess some today, trying to come up with an agreeable person to just come in and play caretaker so that we can finish off this runoff and move forward. I would have preferred to not have to deal with the runoff, quite frankly. I don't think that serves the party well. I don't think that serves any of us well. But I also know that there is a certain group within our party that's not going to let go. They're not going to accept a loss that was that close. They're just going to keep pressing. And I mean, to a degree, I expect that and respect it. But sometimes you got to put your preferences aside and you got to do what has to be done for the greater good, if you will. And I know that's a tough pill to swallow. I have to swallow it often. The greater good, the bigger picture, however you want to phrase it. Well, that being said, let's now, I've covered the election. And by the way, SD30 is not over either. So I've had conversations. I don't recall off the top of my head if I spent any time talking about this yesterday or not, but I feel like I need to say this. If we are not successful in HD 70, I think that I'm going to have to seriously consider claiming an address in HD 70 or renting a room or something, and I'll just go run in HD 70. I want all my listeners and all my haters to get on board with this, and we can have a lot of fun. I mean, because clearly the state party didn't care that Brent Hagenbaugh doesn't actually live in SD30, and the state leadership and the judicial branch apparently didn't care that Brent Hagenbaugh doesn't actually live in SD30, and they're all perfectly fine with a guy that doesn't live in a district to be on the ballot. Now, how does that work? The state law says you have to live in the district in order to represent the district, But of course, if the court doesn't want to make a decision, and apparently the governor and the lieutenant governor both chose to ignore that requirement to running for the Senate to actually live in the district. But here we are. Here we are. We got a guy that lives in SD12 running for SD30 who's now in a runoff. And it would be nice if the court would just come out and say, well, actually, Mr. Hagenbaugh, you don't live in SD30, so you don't get to be on the runoff ballot. I would love for the courts to do that. Of course, that would derail my plan, right? I wouldn't get the ability to have the fun race in 2 years. Although I am holding out hope that Steve Kennard can win in November. I am holding out hope on that. But we're going to have to build up some action, some excitement. We're going to have to raise some money to get that guy across the finish line. But that's the only Democrat we currently have in Collin County, and we got to put up a better fight. We got to do something. I'm afraid we might have burned everybody out on this crazy primary season, that they're not going to be able to show up in force in November. Maybe what I would suggest is, humbly, if you live in HD 66, HD 61, HD 67, and HD 89, where we have a 10-point cushion, we should all focus our energies on getting HD 70 across the finish line. I mean, our people are going to win because that's the way they drew the districts. Let's go down to HD 70 and do the work there and invest our time there to get a guy that's not in office to take out a Democrat. It would seem to me that would be a better use of time, perhaps a better use of money. I mean, the other districts are clearly in our side for this cycle. Let's go do that. I mean, it seems like a better use of time, better use of money, but it could be just me, right? But why not? And again, I say my part about running in jest for now, but the sincere hope that I want out of this is that the primaries are over, and there's going to be a whole lot of people that are activists that are not happy with how those primaries went. Okay. So let's focus on HD 70. Let's focus on getting a Republican in that seat again. Well, sort of, yes. Let's retire Mihaela. I think that's a reasonable request. In fact, I will be continuing to push on that between now and certainly July. I think that's a much better idea. So, last thing. I'm going to be sending out today or tomorrow to the precinct chairs 2 separate, I guess, resolutions, or actually the better way to phrase it is they are current verbiage that serves as a law in different states relating to the Defend the Guard Act and state sovereignty. I've talked about what Utah did. I've talked about what Hawaii's done to some degree as far as state sovereignty. I think it was Missouri that has Defend the Guard Act, and one other state. I don't remember off the top of my head. There's no reason why Texas can't and shouldn't do these things. And I'm going to encourage you, if you're going to a Senate district convention, work to get these as legislative priorities. We've already pretty much gotten everything we're going to get as far as pro-gun legislation. Yes, and I'll be the first to admit we do not have true constitutional carry, but we do have permitless carry. And it's unlikely, well, actually now with the significant primary wins, we could get true constitutional carry. But if we'll just back burner that for just a minute and focus on the problem that we have at hand. We have an invasion at the border. We have a state government that is kind of sort of showing up to do what they need to do at the border. But I would love for our legislature to be told these are the legislative priorities. We're not going to send our National Guard to foreign adventures or allow them to be nationalized without a declared war. Number one. Number two, we need to tell the feds, first and foremost, you can pass a law, but we're not going to help you enforce it if it is unconstitutional, or if we in the state of Texas believe it to be unconstitutional. In fact, we're going to protect our own border, and we're going to not leave, and we're not going to help you enforce bad laws, or we're not going to refute, or how do I want to phrase this? We're going to enforce the law even if you won't. We have our own state laws that say we can do these things. These are two primary things that we need to do. Whether or not you support Texas independence, whether or not you are Texas first candidate, you certainly can understand why you would want to defend the Guard and why you would want to assert the ability to be a sovereign state and choose not to enforce unconstitutional laws while enforcing laws that need to be enforced that the feds refuse to do. So please, I'm asking you, if you're hearing this and you're going to be involved in your Senate District Convention or show up at the state convention, I would ask and implore you to lobby to make these legislative priorities. The other legislative priority that probably doesn't need to be there anymore is abortion. Abortion's already illegal. We have one of the toughest state laws possible preventing people from murdering their child in the womb. I don't think we need to do a whole lot more on that it needs to be a legislative priority. I'm not saying that we shouldn't stick by the platform. I'm not saying that we should back off. I'm just saying that specific issue doesn't need to be a legislative priority. If you want to say the election integrity, fine. You want to say protect the border? And I would tell you both of these legislative priorities would do more to protect the border than telling the legislature protect the border. These are actionable items that they can do something with. If we're protecting the Guard, we can use the Guard and not worry about the feds trying to take them away from us because there's no declared war. Of course, with the current administration, there's no security in the fact that they wouldn't create a declared war just so they could do that, if nothing else. Elections matter. The outcomes of elections matter. This is the second episode I'm doing on the post-election, outcomes. I've talked about my candidates. I've talked about the big races that still haven't been settled here in Collin County. I've talked about two things that I think are very important, and you should, wherever you're at, bring that up at the Senate District Convention or your precinct convention or the state convention. Those are two massive priorities that need to be worked on. I guess the other one would probably be protecting the grid. But again, that's a state sovereignty thing, right? And we shouldn't give up control of our grid. Thank you very much. But again, elections matter. The outcomes matter. The governor and the attorney general put their thumb on the scale, actually probably put their whole hand on the scale, and affected the outcome of these elections. And I'm hoping that we're going to get better outcomes. I'm hoping that we're going to see more conservative, more right outcomes. My only concern, and I should say it's my biggest concern, we went to great lengths across the state to get new people there, to get fresh people there. If they're going to go down to Austin and hire the same people in Austin that their predecessors hired, if they're going to be dependent upon legislative affairs directors or chief of staffs that worked for their predecessors or that were handpicked by some other organization, we're going to end up in the same boat. Maybe not in 2 years, but certainly within 4 years, the new people will become the incumbents they replaced. It's very important that we work with our newly elected officials to encourage them to bring people in that they trust, people that are from their home district, that go and work in Austin with them, to hold the line, that represent the new representatives and the new senators well in their home districts, but also make sure that they hear directly from the people they're supposed to represent, not from the lobbyists, not from the money men, but from the people that actually work to get them sent there. And I don't mind that they're going to carry water to a degree for the governor on a couple of his key issues, or the attorney general or the lieutenant governor. I've made peace with that a long time ago. But what really concerns me is if they refuse to ever do anything that the people that sent them there to go work for them, if they're not going to back their people, if they're not going to support what their people want, if they're not going to work for the platform, and they're going to kowtow to every little thing that comes out of the executive branch, then why do we even have a legislative branch? We need a good balance of power. We need people that are going to stand for their home districts. I'm hopeful that a good number of these new people that are going to go there are going to do that. Yes, I'm sure they're going to give me, or they're going to give some give-me's, if you will, to their benefactors, whether it's the Attorney General or the governor or perhaps even the Lieutenant Governor. I understand that. There was a reason why they got involved in this race. There was a reason why they put their hand on the scales. There was a reason why they want specific things. I'm okay with most of that. But on the whole, on the major issues that aren't directly of concern to those people, I expect they're going to reflect the will of the people that sent them there. That is, after all, why we do have elections and we do have primaries. It is my sincere hope that we can rebuild the relationships with our state representatives in Collin County. At least one of them had a good scare, and the other two had to really work to win their primaries. I don't think they've had to work to win a primary in quite some time. And while I personally still like one of the three quite a bit, and I look forward to maintaining that relationship, the other two are not in my district either, but we have to work with them. We have to have a cordial, workable relationship to get things done. I'm going to move past this. Bygones be bygones. Your preferred candidate, my preferred candidate didn't go. They made the team. They're on our team. The election's over. We would like to work with you all, but that also requires that you do more than give us lip service. And with that, this has been According to Callus, and I will see you on the other side.